Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Dear Srimati Sandhya Srivatsan, the respected presenters of today's special event, Dr. Raghuraman, Shubha Srinivasan, and members of our large community. Thank you all for joining us this evening. For the last 2 years, we all have gone through so much stress and isolation, etc., with all this COVID around. We at SVBF were thinking how to motivate and make life more meaningful, especially for seniors under these difficult times. I think seniors and children are the most affected groups from COVID. When we thought of various ideas of providing information to calm the mind, giving hope, develop energy under difficult circumstances, etc., to make our seniors more active, the benefits of music came to mind. So we approached Mrs. Srivatsan. She has been a strong supporter of our SVBF Seniors program from the beginning. Being multifaceted with the expertise in gerontology and music, we felt Sandhya ji is a great asset for the community and we need to take advantage of her expertise. This program of wellness with the music, mindfulness, and intergenerational approach is the result of such thinking. Sandhya ji has put in lots of efforts in developing this program of 4 sessions, and I am confident you all will appreciate and benefit from it. Almost all of you know Sandhya ji. However, I would like to say just a few words about her background. Sandhya Srivatsan is the artistic director of Ganavarshini and she is a professional South Indian classical musician and educator with a passion to teach, motivate, and help students realize their hidden potential. As a certified gerontologist from Ryerson University, she has conducted many intergenerational programs involving youth and seniors, music recreational sessions, and workshops at diverse community organizations in GTA since 2008. She continues to educate and create awareness about Indian classical music, the benefits of music in healthy aging, and music recreation by conducting seminars and workshops in person and online. For the past 22 years, Sandhya ji has volunteered extensively in the community by performing solo and group concerts and volunteered at nursing homes, adult daycare centers in the GTA. She continues to help the diverse community in GTA to connect with the roots of their culture and heritage through musical compositions that are diverse in languages. At Ganavashini, Sandhyaji's creative ideas motivate students to appreciate and be proud of their roots and culture and gain self-confidence through singing. She is a great performer and has given many performances in various countries. She had the privilege of learning from gurus such as Sri Anu Ramakrishna, Srimati Usha Chal, Sri Tirumala Srinivas in early days, and then with the Padma Bhushan Srimati Sudha Raghunathan and Sangeeta Kalanidhi T.M. Tyagarajan. I will stop talking here about Sandhya ji in the interest of saving some time for her to talk. Thank you, Sandhya ji, for organizing this series of 4 sessions. Now, I request Dr. Lakshmanan, chairman of our SVBF and a pride of our community, who was recently awarded the coveted Order of Canada Award, to say a few words. Dr. Lakshmanan.
Thank you very much, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Friends, it is always pleasure serving the community. And our own Sandhya Srivatsan is a great role model for our community. She helps young and old, teaching our values, our culture, our music to the young. At the same time, not forgetting the elderly population, sharing her experience, sharing her thoughts, sharing her skills and vidvat for the elderly people through the gerontology. So you can see she's a person who equally helps the young and the old, teaching music for young, music for elderly, at the same time taking care of the elderly population to have a good health. We are all very privileged, and this community of Toronto, GTA, we're blessed with such wonderful teachers like Sandhya Srivatsan, who got all her earlier education from India with the eminent teachers, but tirelessly she is sharing her experience and thoughts with community members. We're all very blessed that we live in a community full of teachers like Sandhya Srivatsan, and I request on your behalf Dr. Sandhya Srivatsan to share her thoughts with our community. Thank you very much, Sandhya. Thank you very much, Param. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lakshmana. In bringing this series of 4 sessions, Kannada Sangha Toronto has been one of our great partners, and they have given immense support. Now, on behalf of Kannada Sangha Toronto, I request President Shri Prashant to say a few words on behalf of Kannada Sangha. Prashant?
Yes, thank you, Param sir, and hello to Lakshmanan sir as well, and pranams to the dignitaries, including Sandhya ma'am. Incidentally, I had a privilege of working with Sandhya ma'am earlier for the New Year video. Really, I feel myself to be really blessed to have worked with her. So about this, I was really intrigued when I spoke to Param sir about this initiative, because to me, musical healing is a very special thing, because I've been reading about musical healing ever since they brought it up, especially on the lyrical flow, which lyrical music, as they call it, or the padalalitya as we call it, is very near to me, as I try to write a little bit in Kannada myself. And then within Kannada, we have literary formats or patterns that can be associated with healing powers because of the rhythm that they generate and the vibes that they create in the mind, which also can be compared to nada. And for the youngsters here, I urge that you guys read about the solfeggio. You must, I know that you're all musically much more talented and informed than I am, but the solfeggio, right? So which is the 528 healing, 28 hertz healing, as they call it, which causes, they have both mental and physical well-being and healing, internal healing, that the body will start to regenerate itself through music. So I was very intrigued to read about a little bit of that because of this initiation. So I'm really thankful that Kannada Sangha Toronto is being given the honor of supporting this initiative. And then I'd like to mention that as far as we can, we will try our best and beyond our abilities to support and continue with the musical association. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Prashant. Now it is my pleasure to hand over the controls of audio and video to our young Vaishnavi, who will be in charge of the Zoom, and then over to Sandhya ji. Vaishnavi, take over.
Thank you, Paramunkel. Hello, everyone. It is so nice to be with you all today. My name is Vaishnavi Bhamadi. I am a student of Sandhya at Ghana Varshini School of Music, and I'm in my third year of undergraduate studies at Western University in London, studying epidemiology and biostatistics. So before we begin with today's session, I just want to go over a few housekeeping rules. Firstly, please do keep your audio muted throughout the meeting. Additionally, if you do feel the need to eat or drink, please feel free to do so, but make sure you turn off your video. Secondly, we encourage you all to share your appreciation for our guest speaker and our guest artist and engage in our quiz questions later on by either typing a message in the chat or sharing an emoticon. So you can share an emoticon if you're not already aware at the bottom of the screen where it says reactions. For example, I just put up a heart right now. And thirdly, please do bear with us if we have any technical difficulties on our end. We'll try and get through them as soon as possible. And please note that we have been recording the meeting, and we will be continue to record the meeting till the end. So now I will be passing it on to Sandhya Aunty for her presentation on music and mindfulness.
Namaste to everyone. Very good evening. I know it's snowing outside, and I think it's the best way to be indoors and to share our thoughts with each other. What better than music? At the outset, I'm thankful and I express my deepest gratitude to Sringeri Bharati Vidya Foundation, Dr. Lakshmanji and Param Bhattji for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to conduct the wellness program for our seniors in the community. I would like to thank Mr. Prashant, Kannada Sangha President, for always being there to support and to encourage the students of Ghana Varshini. At the same time, it's wonderful and I feel very privileged to personally congratulate Dr. Lakshmanji for receiving the Order of Canada from the Governor General, Mary Simon, in December of 2021. We are extremely happy and proud of you, sir, for all your achievements in the field of science and innovation, and you continue to inspire us. The program has been spread out, as it's said earlier by Param Bhattji, over 4 sessions, Wednesdays, 2nd and 23rd of February and March. It's a coincidence that the days and the dates match, so it's easy to remember. The topics are vast, as mentioned. In these 4 hours, I wish to cover as much as I can, and I hope to give you a glimpse of the benefits of mindfulness, music, and intergenerational programs. I would like to do a disclaimer, so to speak. I'm not a music therapist per se. I just call myself a music recreationist, because empirically, Carnatic music has not been proved that it has those benefits, though in the Raga Chikitsa and the Ayurveda, the texts do say so. but it's not been empirically proved for it to be accepted by the medical community. These sessions are planned in such a way that one would understand aspects of how different genres of music can be enjoyed with mindfulness. You will be listening to guest speakers from different walks of life during these 4 sessions, and they will be sharing their musical experiences, and they will demonstrate to you. There'll be vocalists and instrumentalists. Yeah, it's going to be quite exciting and intriguing. I want to keep you guessing as to whom I'm going to invite for the next 3 sessions. I personally thank the guest speakers for today's session, Dr. Raghuraman. Most of you in the audience may know about Dr. Raghuraman, who's very well known for the plays he directs and acts in, apart from being an excellent orator and a person with a great sense of humor. He wears several hats and is well versed in many topics. I could go on and on about Dr. Raghuraman, who is a multifaceted individual with many, many talents. Our music artist, Mrs. Sandhya Srivatsan from New Jersey, will be sharing her personal experiences with music and will be performing for us as well. I warmly welcome her to the audience of the GTA and to Sringeri Bharati Vidya Foundation. She lives in New Jersey, and I'll talk about her when her turn comes. I will be introducing about her musical background as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Raghuraman and Mrs. Shubha, for accepting my request to do a short presentation for the seniors of Toronto. So with that, as you see, this is the overview of the session that we are going to have. I'll be speaking a bit, and then it'll be Dr. Raghuraman and then the guest artist. Now, before we just proceed, I'd like to know your musical preferences. Next slide, please. Vaishnavi, thank you. So there are some questions here. You just have to think about it. If you want, you could type it out in the chat box, or you could just think about what these questions are about, okay? So the first question is, what type of music do you often listen to? A, classical Indian, B, devotional songs, C, film songs, D, Western classical or non-classical, E, all of the above. So I would like each one of you to just type, and I just see one here already in the chat box. Someone said E, they like all of the above. Okay, quite a few who love all of the above. That's wonderful. That's really nice to see that you have a variety of, in the taste buds of your ears, like so to speak, that you like all genres of music. That's really nice. And some of you like only devotional songs. Some of you like a combination of A and B. That's good. So that's nice to see that interesting mix in the audience. So the next question, please. What do you prefer, vocal, instrumental, or both? I know some of you are picky, but for all the instrumentalists on the call, excuse if people say they only like vocal, okay? And vice versa. Okay. I see a lot of C's. That's good. That's nice. Okay. And then there is one more question. Do you listen to music while driving, cooking, working from home? Yeah, for the past 2 years, all of you will raise hands. That's what many of you have been doing, right? Completing chores, early morning walk, on a short walk, or all of the above. Okay. Okay. So many of them do it while driving. Yeah, driving, cooking. Okay. That's nice. Good, interesting. Okay. I see all the combinations of ABC, ACE, ACD, G, AB. All the options are right in front of you. That's wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for being such a good sport and in giving me an idea as to what all of you appreciate and in music, whether it is vocalist or instrumentalist or when you listen to. So these are the important questions, and I think you will understand why I had to do this. So I think that gives me a fair idea, and we'll go on. Okay, so next slide. So before we get into discussing mindfulness with music, we need to address the issues on hand. Why do we need such discussion on wellness, mindfulness, etc.? There could be a variety of reasons, but a main factor is stress. All humans are destined to experience adversities throughout their lives that are likely to get impacted their health and the quality of life. In a world of stress, uncertainty, and unpredictability, many of us are looking for ways to manage our emotions and outlook on life. Coping skills can be defined as the way we respond to stressful situations. We all have our coping mechanisms, though many tend to cause more problems than resolve the original issues. Many of our coping skills are used on autopilot, where we don't recognize our actions as coping skills. We might use blame, denial, a busy schedule, food as a way of handling the uncomfortable feelings associated with stress. Next slide, please. So, the trajectories of health and function in later life can vary significantly depending on the individual. Typical stressors experienced in the context of aging include chronic illnesses, cognitive impairment, psychosocial stresses of caregiving, or personal losses of the loved ones, independence, when you lose your independence, financial stresses, and so on. In particular, when we examine the senior population, stress can be caused by the environment the individual lives in. It could be a condominium, it could be a townhome, or detached home, or even a retirement home. There are different degrees of stress associated with each environment, and they have diverse consequences for the seniors in terms of overall physical and mental health. Lack of social interactions contributes to significant stress level as well. I'm not going to elaborate, don't worry, because we have got enough of it and we have experienced enough of these stresses since March of 2020. So now, to get into a more positive frame of mind and attitude, one of the coping strategies is to create mindfulness through yoga, meditation, and music. Next slide, please. Yeah. So let's take a look very briefly about all these factors. The father of mindfulness, Thich Nhat Hanh, who died recently at the age of 95, quoted the following: "When we are mindful, deeply in touch with the present moment, our understanding of what is going on deepens, and we begin to be filled with acceptance, joy, peace, and love." There are many resources available pointing to where the mindfulness originated from. In meditation traditions, it indicates it's Hinduism and Buddhism. In Buddhism, in Pali language, the term sati is described as a lucid awareness of what is happening in the moment. According to the researcher Baer, in his article titled Overview of Mindfulness and Acceptance-Based Treatments, mindfulness has been described as a process of intentionally focusing attention on any given experience occurring at the present moment in a non-judgmental and or accepting way. We have mindfulness explained at length in Hinduism in various contexts and scriptures. There are many well-learned scholars in the audience. I'm not proficient enough to even explain about it or even touch it, but I'm just going to say a few sentences about it because most of us in the call practice Hinduism. Mindfulness is explained in depth when one reads the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita projects how the synthesis of the path of jnana, knowledge, karma, action, duty, and bhakti, devotion, actually paved the way for mindfulness as an important ethical value for individual and social well-being. In yoga, the breathing technique during pranayama helps you to stay calm, and it creates an awareness of your own body. Mindful of one's own breathing rhythmic patterns, focused breathing helps in developing a calm frame of mind and body. I'm sure that most of you in the audience are aware of the benefits of yoga and the mindfulness it creates. With that brief introduction, let's move on to mindfulness and music. Music definitely creates a significant impact in our day-to-day lives. Next slide, please. But how do we recognize it? Do we really pay attention to it? Our brain receives the music, stores it, retrieves it, and retrieves even the memories associated with it with a particular song in a matter of seconds. How amazing is that? The effect of music on the human brain is definitely intriguing. And while music can bring out a plethora of emotions and feelings, it has a deeper impact on the psyche of the person. For example, babies who are tuned in to the heartbeats of the mother from the womb recognize the mother's gentle voice as soon as it enters the world. Voice and sound recognition is already in place. The baby gets used to the rocking motion or the lullaby that the mother sings so ever so gently, and the baby zones off into blissful sleep. The rhythmic and the music is introduced at a very infant stage. But during the span of life, from toddler to a teenager, the growth of the individual is dramatic in terms of music sense. If a child is constantly exposed to music, it gets a sense of rhythm and develops an ear for music. When a person ages, the experience of listening to music changes. Yes, some are conditioned to believe that what they heard in the past is the best. Nothing new or innovative is acceptable for some of them. A few seniors, however, like to adapt to the changing world of music, which is ever evolving. For our diverse Indian culture with so many genres, languages, the choice of music depends on the individual's environment and fluency in a particular language to a certain extent to completely appreciate and enjoy the music. Most of the time, the melodic tunes or the ragams take over, and language does not matter. After all, as a common saying goes, music is universal and has no boundaries. Music is a healthy alternative to incorporate into your toolbox as to how to respond to life's challenges. With that background of mindfulness, I would like you to also think through some of the relationships that you may have with music for a moment. Is it a source of frustration, joy? Do you feel disconnected from the music sometimes? Does music soothe you when nothing else seems to work? Do you have a lot of music on your phone but never have the opportunity to listen to it? Whether you listen to music all the time or rarely, mindful music listening can help you slow down and be in the moment. To consciously listen to music for sheer enjoyment is one aspect, while listening to music to forget the stress and troubles of the day, to distract yourself for the moment is yet another way. Okay, so now let's go to the pointers. So I've just chosen these steps. Now these are steps that I feel that may help, especially when you are winding down for the day. Maybe you could try this as an experiment. First is you choose a piece of music, which it could be an instrumental piece, but it's preferred that you choose an instrumental piece because lyrics can add a whole extra layer to it. It can be either a familiar or unfamiliar piece. It's interesting to repeat this exercise with the opposite of what you chose this time. You make a note of the choice, maybe date it in a journal. The second thing is you have to take a moment to breathe and ground yourself. Inhale gently through your nose and exhale deeply through your open lips. Notice your body, the tune, and how it feels, irrespective of whether you're standing, sitting, or lying down. You just notice everything as the music goes on. Just listen. Yes. Give yourself permission to only listen to the music without simultaneously, we all have this habit, checking your email, checking your WhatsApp, trying to do something else, or refreshing your browser. If it helps, just close your eyes and then use your headphones if possible, and so that you can focus or shut out the external noise. And notice. Let yourself be aware of anything you notice without judgment or self-criticism. That's very important. Notice the pace of the music, the sound of the different instruments, and the shifts in the volume, the orchestration, if possible. So you'll have to notice very intently when you listen to music. Notice any thoughts or feelings that may come your way. Let any thoughts just pass to your awareness and gently bring yourself back to the sounds of the music. Then you have to reflect. You take a moment to breathe and check in with your body. You notice any shift. You feel calmer. If that piece you chose doesn't feel like a good fit, what might you look for in another piece? Maybe it's a slower pace. Maybe the instruments are softer and not too many. So this kind of exercise can be useful to practice daily, much like meditating. It's almost like you're doing a self-therapy on your own through music. You might experiment with different types of music too, as you can notice a different response. So combining music with mindfulness can allow you to create more space for the healing benefits. If we are not aware of how different sounds affect us, it makes it difficult to use sound and music as a healing and a calming modality. So tune in with yourself and sounds around you to find the calm you're looking for. So I've done enough of talking for the day. So when I thought of today's session, I was trying to make a conscious choice because I realized it's the day after Purandara-dasa's Aradhana, which was yesterday. So I thought maybe it'll be nice if I could just sing a song.
No voice, Sandhya. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Ah,
Thank you. Rama Nama Payasake Krishna Nama Sakare Rama Nama Payasake Krishna Nama Sakare Vithala Nama Tupava Kalasibai Chaparisi to Ramanama Payasake Krishna Nama Sakare Vitala Nama Tupava Kalasibai Chaparisi Omana Godiyatho Vairagya Kallali Bisi Omana Godiyatho Vairagya Kallali Bisi Summane Sajigate Gadu Sanna Savige Hose Ramanama Payasake Krishna Nama Sakare Vithala Nama Tupava Kalasibai Chaparisi Hridayavembo Madikayali Bhavavembo Yasara Netu Buddhiyanda Pakamadi Harivanake Badisikundu Hridayavembo Madikayali Bhavavembo Yasara Netu Buddhiyanda Pakamadi Harivanake Badisikundu Ananda Anandavembo Tegubaditu Kaniru Anandavembo Tegubaditu Kaniru Anandamuruti Namma Purandara राम नाम पाय सके कृष्ण नाम सकरे विठल नाम तो पव कलसी बाई चबरी रो Thank you for listening. I only hope you were able to feel the sweet payasa of Rama and Krishna as per the recipe suggested by Shri Purandaradasa. With that feeling, it's time to understand music in the mind. So, with great pleasure, I invite Dr. Raghuraman, our guest speaker for the evening. Dr. Raghuraman has been practicing psychiatry for well over 40 years. He's also interested in performing arts and had produced, written, and acted in 14 plays. He's currently doing his master's in Tamil and doing spoken Samskrita from Samskrita Bharati. Over to you, Dr. Raghuraman.
Thank you. I hope you're able to listen to me. I hope I'm not muted. Namaskaram to everyone. At the outset, I would like to thank SVBF for organizing this series for seniors and Mrs. Sandhya Srivatsan for giving this opportunity to me to share some of my thoughts on this topic. Before I go any further, I want to put forward at least 3 facts before I start. It's better to tell the truth before you speak even. Fact number 1, I'm not a musician of any stretch of imagination. 2, it is not going to be a scientific presentation. I have not done any original work on this topic, but I have just gone through different research papers to collect some facts found out by others in the topic of music and the mind. I'm going to use the word mind interchangeably with the brain, even though it may not be acceptable for many people. For the present, we will stay that way. And the third fact is I'm also a senior citizen and a connoisseur of music. That's probably the only reason why I'm eligible to probably talk on this topic. With this, I will just try to engage you in an interesting way possible on this topic. We all enjoy music as it soothes our mind. It's a well-known fact at an individual level and at a collective level. All cultures for a long time knew this intuitively and through their experience. But is it just a personal opinion, or can it be supported by scientific evidence? And that's the question. What does science say as the impact of music on our minds? Is it just emotional satisfaction, happiness, or is there anything more we get at the mind level or the brain level by learning music and by listening to music? Can the findings be used in any meaningful way to help people in the future? I will try to share some facts with you in the next 10-15 minutes. And I try not to be very clinical with numbers, graphs, and slides. I promise you no slides. As I mentioned before, all cultures intuitively knew the emotional benefits of music. You can see the evidence even today. You enter a mall, you hear music. You go to a restaurant, you go to gym, or even a temple, you listen, you hear music. Why? Even in some elevators, you could hear music. We have music performed during all situations, for example, wedding or any other happy family occasions. There's music in clubs, bars, parties. Why? Even in some funerals. We put the child to sleep with music, and the armies do the march past with music. All nations have national anthems, which is nothing but music. What does it prove? Human beings are hardwired for music. Any living being has a tendency to experience music and appreciate music in its own way. We will look into that as we go down. Let us understand the basic structure of brain and how it functions at a very simple level. Each human brain is made up of billions of neurons, which are like electronic chips in our computer. Each neuron is self-sufficient, has a unique function, but when they work with other neurons in a circuit, they work in a synergetic manner, which means 1 + 1 is not 2, it's more than 2. The effect is a lot more than what individual units will add to. And all these circuits, all these neurons are connected and work as a complex circuits carrying out different functions. Some of the circuits are specific for a particular function, for example, smell, which is a simple circuit, and some of the circuits are involved in more than one function. Even though I mentioned smell is a simple circuit, once it goes through your olfactory nerve to your front end of the brain, the smell is perceived in different part of the brain, and the emotional waves after smelling something cascades all over the brain. Brain is such a complex structure, well interconnected, and everything is connected with emotional brain. I'm sure if you smell something which you tasted long time ago, cooked by your mother, after 20, 30 years, if you smell the same thing, suddenly all the old situations and who gave it to you, what was the discussion you had with your mother after that, for example, will all flow through your mind. So brain is emotionally well connected. Even a simple smell can trigger the whole thing. Imagine what music can do. The circuit which is involved in processing music is a complex one, and it overlaps with many other functions. So let us imagine music. Okay, well, how do we hear sound? The air outside our ears, when the air column moves, it hits your eardrum, then it is converted into electrical waves through your nerve from your ears, reaches your brain as an electrical impulse, then it gets translated into a chemical reaction. But imagine the complexity of brain circuit. You convert that again into lovely music, creating a lot of emotions in your mind. And this pathway is shared by different things in your brain. We will see what they are and what the benefits are. So as a result, music learners and practitioners enjoy several other benefits by learning music systematically at an young age and practicing it later on in life or throughout life. Even without learning music, if you listen to quality music, you also get most of the benefits. We will take the topic of music and cognition. We are not talking about music and the mood. First, we are talking about cognition. That's one of the main functions of the brain, apart from emotions and thinking and memory. So what is cognition? Cognition involves attention. We are able to focus on a particular theme, an object, or a sound. That ability is called attention. When you are able to sustain the attention over a period of time, we call it concentration. We know practically what we mean by concentration, and that's what happens. It involves a lot of neurons to pay attention to a subject and to concentrate on that subject. Once you do that, there is learning. The process of knowing happens, which is moved to memory neurons. There are different types. One is short term, other one is long term. The short term memory is also subdivided into working memory. Why I'm saying that, I will explain to you soon. So, structured music training received in childhood strengthens this neuronal circuit, which results in the improvement of attention and concentration, thereby working memory. What is working memory? Let's assume you have to make, let's say, I think a lot of Kannadigas are listening to this talk. Let's say you have to make Busy Belahuli. You can read from a book, but an experienced cook simultaneously prepare 2 or 3 things, knowing how much each one is going to take time-wise. And they know what has to be done first, what has to be done next, and then when to take it off. So many things. We learn all these things. First time is a bit difficult, but we develop a sequence of activities and remember it, and that's called as working memory. And music, according to science, improves that capacity to have a good working memory. So not only for music, because the circuit is shared by so many other things, by learning music, by strengthening that circuit, you are going to show extraordinary ability with your working memory in all sorts of things. That's an extra benefit from learning music in the formative ages. This strengthening of cognitive power developed during childhood carries through the adult life, even if one had discontinued the music training after some time. Fantastic. I'm not saying that you can stop. If you can, please continue. But even if you stop, the benefits stay. And even if you listen to music and pay attention, you are going to benefit from developing more powerful working memory. And this research was done in Stanford University in 2015. Very extensive research with a neuroscientist, musicologist, and a lot of other scientists and their collaboration. And several studies proved that musicians have superior working memory, just like the Stanford study in 2015. So that's a proven fact now. The same researchers also tried to find out what other brain skills get strengthened by music, and they observed that language processing skills also get sharper by learning music. They observed the musicians in general are better in hearing sound more clearly and notice the pass between the sounds more clearly. This ability strengthens their language processing ability. So they end up speaking any language more precisely, or they have the ability to pick up new languages comparatively quickly than other people who have not been exposed to music training or music itself. It's an extraordinary study. And this is also done at Stanford, not by the same researchers, by a different group of researchers in 2015. Because of better cognition and pattern recognition seen in musicians, they also develop better mathematical skills. This has been an old study, but consistently it proves that mathematics or pattern recognition, which is part of mathematics, and also part of music, share the same circuitry. I think people who know more music, they identify raga patterns. They listen to some raga, they say it sounds like Kalyani, but it's not. They say it's Chayal. So that is pattern recognition. When you look at different patterns, you recognize patterns between different things which look different. So that is very essential skill in mathematics. So most of the musicians are said to be good in mathematical skill, but there are also exceptions. I don't take it literally, but generally believed they develop good mathematical abilities. Now we come to the essence, music and emotion. What is the impact of music on brain and mind? How does it impact on our emotions? We all have experienced the peace and happiness while listening to the music. That's why we go back to music again and again. And some of us are addicted to music in a way, or whenever we are not feeling happy, we switch on to something and listen to music because at a personal level, we know it works. But can we explain it on a scientific basis? Scientists conducted experiments and figured out that listening to pleasing music reduces the stress, evidenced by the reduction of heart rate and blood pressure. This is a very easy experiment anyone can do anywhere. So there's conclusive evidence that music does impact on your body functions. Then there is a hormone called hydrocortisone, which is also known as the stress hormone. Every time we experience stress, in order to protect our tissues, cortisone is pumped into our system at a high level. Initially, it has a protective value. When it is chronic, the good effects become bad effects affecting the organs. Say, for example, the blood pressure is going to stay high if the cortisone is going to be in your system over a long period of time because of prolonged stress. So they have found out if a person is under stress and they measure the cortisol level and they subject the individual to soothing music of that person's choice, and they collect blood samples and they showed the cortisol level falls regularly, systematically, and come back to normal. So there is an evidence that there are physiological correlates which support that emotional satisfaction or stress reduction we experience is in fact true, not imagined. They noticed an increase in a neurotransmitter called dopamine. I'm sure some of you would have heard of this serotonins and dopamine these days. Dopamine is generally considered as a neurotransmitter involved in all pleasurable experiences. Any pleasure, the brain secretes dopamine. That's what our mind feels as happy mood or pleasure. So music does create dopamine, a neurotransmitter in the brain, as we experience music. So there's one more conclusive evidence there. Then how do we use this at a practical level? Anxiety and anger come down. Psychologists did these type of experiments. As a person is experiencing anxiety or anger, when they are subjected to listen to soothing music, they saw the mind becoming quiet. And we all practically experience when you switch on to light, soothing music, we fall asleep. You see a lot of people sleeping in concerts because they are so relaxed, they fall asleep. And we always put babies to sleep by songs. So we knew it through our cultural experiences, but only now we are using music as a therapy to help people suffering from some clinical conditions such as anxiety or poor impulse control or depression. Based on this research, they started implementing music as a therapy in treating depression, anxiety, anger management, and post-traumatic stress disorder programs. American Psychological Association, after doing a lot of research, reported and officially announced that music therapy is a valid therapy and it will be a good adjunct to all other therapeutic modalities. Music therapy is used as an adjunct in therapy programs all over the world now. You can see if you walk into any retirement home or long stay home for seniors, you see music from 1950s and 60s played continuously. And seniors who are suffering from Alzheimer's, early Alzheimer's, agitated in a new place, when they'll start listening to music, they quieten down, and these songs and the lyrics were stored in their long-term memory, and they start to sing these old songs. It's a wonderful sight to see these elderly people sitting there singing these verses and enjoying that. So that's another proof we can see practically the effect of music on emotions. Our forefathers were very aware of this fact and chose appropriate ragas to suit different emotional situation and social situations. But as Sandhya was pointing out, even though there are quotations in our literature, nobody has done any conclusive research or any research to conclude this particular raga is good for this particular condition. Okay, like Subhabandhu Baravarali is good for major depressive disorder, Kalyani is good for laziness, whatever. Maybe that's something people have to do or look into in the future. Music is used even in the military to inspire the soldiers all over the time. Greeks, Romans, even Indian armies had probably Gambhira Natai in order to energize them as they have a march past to fight the enemies. And when they come back after the day's war and they are stressed out, they sang different songs in order to calm down and go to sleep to be ready to fight the next day. I will also talk about a few sentences about music and the electroencephalogram, EEG, or electrical waves of the brain. Ohio State University conducted a big study involving Wexner Medical Center and found out that music creates synchronized brain waves in human brains. And seizure disorder or epilepsy is a product of non-synchronized wave bursts causing seizure disorder. And if the person feels he might develop a seizure, if he listens to soothing music resulting in synchronized brainwave activity, he can probably avoid an impending seizure. That's a very valid thing to know, and the neurologists try to take advantage of this particular finding. Then I would like to say a few words about music and mindfulness, and Sandhya already had talked about that. Becoming aware of the happenings in the mind with total acceptance is called mindfulness. So there is a difference, from my perspective, between meditation and mindfulness. They are interconnected, but slightly different. In mindfulness, you are not choosing an object to focus on, as we normally do in most of the meditation techniques. In mindfulness, whatever comes in your mind, have a close look at it and see what your mind does and accept everything. Happenings of the mind and happenings in your mind. That total acceptance is being mindful. Sandhya was again talking about possible origin. Vedanta very clearly talks about it. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita alludes to that as well very clearly. And being a practicing Advaitin, reading Shankara's writings, makes it very clear that we are not our minds. Aham Brahmasmi. That's a Mahavakya. We are the Atman. We can observe the mind. Mind is an object of our observation. Therefore, the happenings of the mind can be observed. And once you develop the capacity to practice that, the stress has no place in your life. The source of all our problems is in our mind, even though we blame the world for our stress. Advaita very clearly says it's all in the Prakriti. And mind and body definitely is a part of that Prakriti, not only the objects of the world. We cannot control the objects of the world outside us, but we can observe the mind and our thoughts. That itself will resolve our stress. When music fills our mind, when we are very mindful of the music, there is no other thought. When there is no other thought, there is nothing but bliss. When we listen to music, we should not stay outside music and listen to it. We should not judge. We should not worry about the grammar of the music. We should immerse ourselves in music and get the best impact. Just be the music. All these approaches are used in treating depression and anxiety. We should not forget they are all used only as an adjunct to the main therapeutic modalities in a clinical setting. But at home, when we listen to music or when we learn music, we can use those experiences with mindfulness. So we talked about the improvement of the benefits at the brain level as well as at the mind level. Is there any benefit at the social level? The effects of music on our mind extends beyond cognitive and emotional spheres. It impacts on our personality makeup in a very positive way. Research shows that people who listen to music or underwent a lot of musical training became better team players later on in life. This particular quality helped them to progress in their career of their choice. But basically, mindfulness with music or with any other means is going to improve your emotional quotient. We always thought IQ is be all and end all. Definitely not. To be a happy person, in other words, to be a successful person, what is more important is our emotional quotient, which is very closely linked to our capacity to be mindful. And music can definitely help in being mindful. In conclusion, knowing all the beneficial effects of music, we should try to introduce music to children very early on in life to increase their neuronal connections and sharpen their cognitive function. We should continue to offer music therapy in all places wherever it's appropriate. We should continue to look for other benefits of music from continued scientific research. With this, I will conclude my brief talk, and I really thank you all for your patient listening for the last 15 minutes. Namaskaram again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raghuraman. That was a very, very informative and very educative talk on music and the mind. And I'm sure I've taken a lot of points from you, and I'm sure I can educate my children and highlight it to the parents of the children as well. Talking about the benefits of music. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your time with us today. So now we move on to Mrs. Shubha Srinivasan. It's with great affection and pride that I invite my dearest friend, Shubha Srinivasan from New Jersey, to share her musical experiences. Hailing from a musically inclined family, Subha Srinivasan has long been associated with the Lalgudi family for her musical training. She was very fortunate to learn from Srimati Lalgudi R. Rajalakshmi, the sister of the legendary violinist Sri Lalgudi Jayaraman, from a very young age. She had rigorous training from Srimati Rajalakshmi for over 12 years, during which time she performed for All India Radio Bangalore and local sabhas. She continues to get guidance from her, and she also had a couple of years of training from Srimati Anuradha Sridhar, another member of the illustrious Lalgudi family, during her stay in California, USA. On moving to the US in 1992, she has performed in cities all across the United States. Shubha has also been regularly performing for music sabhas in Chennai during the December Music Festival. Known for her deep passion for our rich Carnatic music, having started a music sabha with her husband in Charlotte, NC, she has been teaching several students for many years and continues to do so. She is associated with the Chinmaya Ashram in New Jersey, where she renders her services in teaching young children to keep this tradition alive and thriving. So over to Shubha.
Thank you, Sandhya. I have to thank Sandhya for asking me to be part of this wonderful program, and also thank SVBF for coming up with this concept. So first of all, thank you to thank you for allowing me to share my experience. I have to give you a brief background about my life. So after finishing my post-graduation, I joined Nations Bank, which was then taken over by Bank of America. And I was working there for almost 6-7 years. And then we had our child, and he was very playful and everything. And so at that point, I just wanted to spend as much time with him as possible. And my husband got a job in San Francisco. And so when we moved there, even though I had an opportunity to continue working, I decided against it because I wanted to be with my son as well as pursue my music. That was where Anuradha Sridhar was. So I wanted to take advantage of that. So anyway, so we moved, and then I was started to teach also. And we used to make trips to Legoland because my son used to really love Legos, and and so we used to make several trips, at least once a year, like a pilgrimage. And one such trip in 2002, on our way back, I had a couple of seizures in the car. And my husband thought that it was just, that I was dehydrated or something. And so I drank some water. And then the second time, I was feeling very sleepy. And so I just went off to sleep. And then we stopped at Santa Barbara to have some dinner. And so at that time, when I, went to the restroom and came back towards the table where we were sitting, I just fell down. And since it was a public place, 911 was called. And so we went there and to the emergency department, and they took my vital signs and they just said, wait. And we kept waiting. And because I was, my vital signs were fine, they just, said, you can wait some more. And then we decided that it was already 11 o'clock in the night. We decided that, driving back home would be even better because, that's not far away. So we drove back home at that point, and next day, of course, went to the doctor, and they took a CT scan and said that I had a tumor in the empty part of the brain, and something very rare. And then we met the oncologist, and he also explained that he's never seen, a tumor like this. And so he, basically the whole, in just one day, everything just changed. And but my music was so strong that I really relied on it for everything. I mean, it gave me all the strength I needed to go through the treatment, as well as come out of it and have a positive attitude towards life. So so while I was going through the surgery and then the chemotherapy, and the radiation was the one that really did a lot of harm, in the sense that I lost my salivary glands, and I couldn't produce saliva in my mouth, which was very essential for singing. So I used to try to sing a really, a favorite song of mine. And I realized that I couldn't sing more than a line. And at that point, I was just so devastated. And, I kept trying and trying and trying. And, but ultimately, I, overcame that. And I would like to sing that song for you, especially since it gave me so much strength during the time when I really needed it. So I will present that song, and it is Kanchadalaya Dakshi in Kamala Manohari Ragam, Adithalam. Sorry, I'm trying to get my tambura on. Can you hear the... Kanchadalaya Dakshi, Kanchadalaya Dakshi, Kamakshi, Kanchadalaya Dakshi, Kamakshi, Kanchadalaya Dakshi, Kamakshi, Kamala Manohari, Tripura Sundari, Kanchadalaya Dakshi, Kamakshi, Kamala Manohari, Tripura Sundari, Kanchadalaya Dakshi. Kunjaragamani, Kunjaragamani, Mani Mandita Manjula Charane, Kunjaragamani, Mani Mandita Manjula Charane, Mama Shiva Panjara Shuki Pankajamu, Guru Varanjani Durita, Bhanjani Niranjani. Kunjaragamani, Mani Mandita Manjula Charane, Mama Shiva Panjara Shuki Pankajamukhi Guru Rangani Durita Bhanjani Niranjani, Kanchadalaya Dakshi. Raka Shashivadane Suratane, Raka Shashivadane Suratane, Rakshita Matane Ratna Sadane, Raka Shashivadane Suratane, Rakshita Matane Ratna Sadane, Shri Kanchana Vasane, सुरसने शृङ्गाराश्रयमन्दहासने श्रीकाञ्चनवसने सुरसने शृङ्गाराश्रय मन्दहासने एक अनेकाक्षरि भुवनेश्वरी भुवनेश्वरी एक अनेकाक्षरि भुवनेश्वरि एकानन्दामृतकरि भास्वरि एक अनेकाक्षरि भुवनेश्वरि एकानन्दामृतकरि भास्वरि एकाग्र मनोलयकरि श्रीकरि एकाम्रेश गृहेश्वरि शङ्करि एक अनेकाक्षरि भुवनेश्वरि एकानन्द मृगकरि भास्वरि एकाग्र मनोलयकरि श्रीकरि एकाम्रेश गृहेश्वरि शङ्करि कञ्चदलाय दाक्षि कामाक्षि फला मनोहरि त्रिपुरसुन्दरि कञ्चदलाय दाक्षि
Like to say something else, Shubha, or you'd like to?
I'm done, I think.
Thank you so much, Shubha, for having sung and shared your experiences. Very touching and very moving, to say the least. But my dear friend from National College, Jayanagar, Bangalore, I know what a wonderful person and a human being you are, and how much you try to motivate other people to come out, and you're a source of inspiration. Thank you so much for accepting the request today, for joining. And as friends, I think we should sing something from the memories of 1983, and we'll conclude the day with that. So for all of you folks, as friends, always when they're musically inclined, when they get together, we always have jamming sessions, right? So one of the sessions came up when we were discussing about today's program, and Shubha suggested, hey, why don't we sing Jalala Jalala Dare from the movie Valmiki, which we both performed for one of the cultural fests in National College, Jayanagar. So we will just end today's program with that. And we wanted to do more, but because it's already 8:18 and you've all been very patient, thank you for being there with us. So we will just conclude with this beautiful song, which is based on in a boat sequence. G sharp.
Can you reduce your volume?
Reduce panta. Okay. Okay, huh?
Yeah. Start.
Jalal jalal jaladhare, oh hoy jalal jalal jaladhare. Suvi suvale sole, doni duale mele, jani jani rajole. Jalal jalal jaladhare, oh hoy jalal.
जलल जल धारे ओहो होय जलल जलल जल धारे सूवी सुवाले सोले दोणी दुआले मेले जाने जन्नीर जोले जलल जलल जल धारे ओहो होय जलल जलल जल धारे ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಯಾಗಿ ಹಾಡು ಹಾಯಾಗಿ ಕೋಗಿಲೆ ಮಾಗಿ ಕೋಗಿಲೆ ತಾಳ ಹಿಮ್ಮೇಳ ಮೇಳ ಮುಮ್ಮೇಳ ನೀರಲೆ ಚೆಲುವೆ ನೀಲಲೆ ಬಿಂಕ ಬಿಣ್ಣಾನ ಬೆಡಗು ಬಿಗುಮಾನ ಬಲ್ಲೆ ಅಂಬಾಲೆ ಬಾಲೆ ಬಿಂಕ ಬಿಣ್ಣಾನ ಬೆಡಗು ಬಿಗುಮಾನ ಬಲ್ಲೆ ಅಂಬಾಲೆ ಬಾಲೆ jalala jalala jaladhare, oh ho jalala jalala jaladhare.
ಅಂಬು ಕಣ್ಣೋಟ ತುಂಬುಮೈ ಮಾತ ಮಂಚಲೆ ಚಲುವೆ ಚಂಚಲೆ ಭೃಂಗ ಸಾರಂಗ ತುಂಗ ಮಾತಂಗ ನಾಡಲೆ ಲಲನೆ ನೀನಲೆ ಹಂಸ ನಡೆದಂತೆ ಹೊನಲು ಹೊಡೆದಂತೆ ಹಾಯಿ ಹನಿಗೋಲಲೀಲೆ ಹಂಸ ನಡೆದಂತೆ ಹೊನಲು ಹೊಡೆದಂತೆ ಹಾಯಿ ಹೊನಿಗೋಲಲೀಲೆ ಜಲಲ ಜಲಲ ಜಲಧಾರೆ ಓ ಹೋಯ್ ಜಲಲ ಜಲಲ ಜಲಧಾರೆ ಸುವಿಸುವಾಲೆ ಸೋಲೆ ದೋಣಿ ದುವಾಲೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಜಾನೆ ಜನ್ನೀರ ಜೋಲೆ ಆಹಾ ಓ ಹೋ 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 ಲಾ 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 ಜಲಲ ಜಲಲ ಜಲಧಾರೆ ಓ ಹೋಯ್ ಜಲಲ ಜಲಲ ಜಲಧಾರೆ. So, thank you very much. I did see a lot of comments in the chat box for Dr. Raghuraman's talk, for Shubha's performance, and for the overall program. We hope that you will continue to support us and support SVBF, who's put in a great deal of effort in organizing this. And we will meet you on February 23rd, Wednesday at 7 p.m. for some more exciting programs, maybe quizzes, what have you. Keep guessing. Till then, good night and Shubhratri. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone, especially Sandhya ji, Shubha ji, Dr. Raghuraman, and very, very special thanks to Vaishnavi for controlling a flawless program. Thanks everyone. See you next time on 23rd.
Thanks, Sandhya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank you,
everyone.
but thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. It was great.
Thank you, Mrs. Geeta.
Wonderful.